The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was filled with beings from 12 different worlds. They had gathered here for 3,000 years to discuss matters of trade, war, and peace. The hall was built from white stone that glowed softly in the dim light. Tall pillars rose toward a ceiling painted with maps of 1,000 star systems. Elder Rova stood at the center of the room. He was a Valoran, one of the oldest species in the known galaxy. His silver skin caught the light as he moved. His eyes, dark as the space between stars, looked tired. He had heard too many foolish stories in his long life. "We waste our time with these old tales," he said. His voice echoed through the chamber. "Humans were never real. They are stories we tell children to make them behave." A young Valoran named Lyra watched from the back of the room. She did not speak. She was only a junior researcher, and junior researchers did not interrupt elders. But she knew something the others did not. The Keth ambassador clicked his sharp jaws together. The Keth were insect-like creatures, tall and covered in hard black shells. They were warriors, and they feared nothing. "Even if humans were real," the Keth ambassador said, "they are long dead. Their world burned 3,000 years ago. Nothing survives fire like that." The other ambassadors nodded. The Drem creatures, who lived in water and spoke through bubbles, agreed. The Marok beings made of living stone agreed. Everyone agreed. Humans were a myth, a legend, a ghost story. Lyra slipped out of the hall quietly. She walked through the long corridors of the council building until she reached the archives. The archives were deep underground, where the air was cold and still. Ancient records were stored here on crystal tablets that held memories of ages past. She had found something 3 days ago. Something that kept her awake at night. Lyra walked past rows and rows of crystals until she reached the oldest section. These records were from the time before the council was formed. Before peace, before order. They were from the age of chaos. She picked up a small crystal, no bigger than her hand. When she pressed it, light filled the air and words appeared. The words were in an ancient language that few could read. But Lyra had studied for years. She understood. First contact with species designation, human, homeworld, Earth. Third planet from a yellow star in the outer rim. Population, 8 billion. Technology level, early space age, Lyra read on. Her hearts beat faster. Assessment, dangerous. Species shows rapid advancement. In 200 years, they progressed from ground vehicles to space travel. Predictive models suggest they will match Council technology within 300 years. They will surpass it within 500. The next words made her blood run cold. Recommendation, elimination. Before they become a threat, Lyra set down the crystal. She knew what came next. The Council's ancestors had attacked Earth without warning. They burned the planet until nothing remained. They killed 8 billion living beings because they were afraid of what those beings might become. But there was more. Another crystal, hidden behind the first. This one contained only a few words. Warning to future generations. Not all were killed. Ships escaped. Colony vessels fled into the darkness beyond the rim. Do not seek them. Do not wake them. They remember. Lyra held the crystal tight. For 3,000 years, everyone believed humans were extinct. But what if they were not? What if they were out there beyond the edge of known space, waiting? She had to tell someone. She had to warn the Council. But before she could move, a sound filled the archives. An alarm, loud and sharp. She had never heard this alarm before. It was the warning for an unknown fleet at the borders. Lyra ran back through the corridors. When she reached the Great Hall, chaos had taken over. Ambassadors were shouting. Guards were running. Screens showed images from the outer rim of Keth's space. Ships. Hundreds of ships. They hung in space like silent ghosts. Their designs matched nothing in the Council's records. They were smooth and dark, built for war, but elegant in their shape. Elder Rova stared at the screens. His silver face had turned pale. Where did they come from? Someone asked. We do not know, a technician answered. They appeared from beyond the rim. From empty space, from nowhere, Lyra pushed through the crowd until she could see the screens clearly. Her eyes went wide. She recognized those ship designs. She had seen them in the ancient archives. In records that were supposed to be myths. It cannot be, Elder Rova whispered. It cannot be. The ships had sent a message. Simple words that appeared on every screen in the council chamber. We are the humans of Earth. We have returned. We wish to speak. The hall fell silent. No one moved. No one breathed. Lyra looked at the old crystal, still clutched in her hand. The warning echoed in her mind. They remember. For 3,000 years. The galaxy had believed humans were legends. Stories dust, but legends do not build fleets. Stories do not cross the void between stars. Dust does not return for answers. The humans had come home, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. Elder Rova turned to the assembled ambassadors. Fear filled his ancient eyes. What have our ancestors done? He whispered. What have they awakened? No one had an answer. Outside, in the cold darkness of space, 200 human warships waited in perfect silence, patient, watching, remembering. Admiral Tae-woo stood on the bridge of his flagship. The remembrance. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes. He had waited his entire life for this moment. His father had waited. His grandfather had waited. 10 generations of his family had prepared for the day when humanity would return to the galaxy that had tried to destroy them around him. His crew worked in silence. They were focused and ready. Every officer knew their duty. Every soldier understood the mission. Captain Hannah stood beside him. She was younger, with sharp features and a scar across her left cheek from a training accident years ago. She was the best tactical officer in the fleet, and she was also his most trusted friend. The Keth have scrambled their battle fleet, she reported. Her voice was steady. 3,000 warships. They will reach our position in 2 hours. Tae-woo nodded slowly. They are afraid. They should be, Hannah said quietly. Lieutenant Sung looked up from his communication station. He was a thin young man who spoke 14 alien languages. He had spent 20 years studying the species they were about to meet. Admiral, we are receiving a transmission from the Keth fleet. Their commander wishes to speak with us. Put it through. Yes. The main screen flickered. A Keth face appeared. General Vorn was massive, even for his species. His black shell gleamed under harsh lights. His mandibles clicked together as he spoke. Unknown vessels. You have entered Keth territory without permission. This is an act of war. Surrender your ships and prepare to be boarded. If you resist, you will be destroyed. Tae-woo did not react. He simply watched the screen with the same calm expression he always wore. General Vorn, he said, I am Admiral Tae-woo of the human fleet. We have not come for war. We have come to speak with your council. General Vorn made a sound like laughter. Humans? The extinct species? You expect me to believe this fantasy? What you believe does not change what is true. The Keth general leaned forward. I do not care what you call yourselves. You have 2 choices. Surrender or die. There is no third option. The transmission ended. Hannah looked at the Admiral. He will attack. Yes. 3,000 ships against our 200, yes, our orders. Tae-woo was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke to the entire bridge crew. All ships will hold position. We will not fire first. When they attack, we will respond with non-lethal force only. Disable their weapons. Disable their engines. Do not destroy. Some officers exchanged looks. Hannah frowned. Admiral, they want to kill us. I know. We could end this in seconds. Our weapons are far beyond theirs. I know. Hannah struggled to understand. Then why hold back? Tae-woo turned to face her. His eyes were sad but determined. 3,000 years ago, their ancestors attacked our world because they feared what we might become. They thought we would be monsters. They thought we would be dangerous. He paused. If we destroy them without mercy, we prove them right. If we show restraint, we prove them wrong. We did not survive extinction to become what they feared. The bridge fell silent. Every officer understood. Dr. Yuna, the ship's historian, nodded from her station. She was an older woman, with kind eyes and gray streaks in her dark hair. The Admiral's right. We have waited 3,000 years for this moment. We will not waste it on revenge. 2 hours passed. The Keth fleet arrived. General Vorn did not wait. He gave the order to attack immediately. 3,000 Keth warships opened fire at once. Energy beams and missiles filled space like a storm of light. It was enough firepower to destroy a planet. The human ships did not move. They simply waited. When the attacks reached them, something impossible happened. The weapons stopped. Missiles froze in space. Energy beams bent around the ships and faded into nothing. It was as if the human fleet was protected by an invisible wall that nothing could break. General Vorn watched in disbelief. What is this? What are those shields? No one could answer. Then the human ships responded. Blue light erupted from the fleet. It spread across space like a wave, touching every Keth ship it reached. The effect was instant. Engines went dead. Weapons powered down. Lights flickered and failed. 3,000 warships drifted helplessly, unable to fight or flee. The entire battle lasted 47 seconds. Not a single Keth soldier was killed. Not a single ship was destroyed. The human fleet had simply turned off their enemy. Like a child turning off a toy, Admiral Taewoo opened a channel to the disabled Keth flagship. General Vorn, your ships are disabled but intact. Your crews are alive and unharmed. We could have destroyed you in seconds. We chose not to. Please deliver a message to your council. General Vorn's voice was weak. Afraid? What message? Tell them that we are not what their ancestors feared. Tell them that we have come in peace. Tell them that we only want to talk. Taewoo paused. And tell them that we remember what was done to Earth. We remember everything. But we are not here for revenge. We are here for answers. Transmission ended. Hannah stood beside the Admiral as they watched the crippled Keth fleet drift in space. They will fear us even more now, she said. Perhaps. Taewoo replied. Or perhaps they will begin to understand. Understand what? The Admiral looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, beyond the void, was the place where Earth had once existed. A blue world filled with life. A home destroyed by fear. That strength without mercy is tyranny, he said quietly. But strength with mercy is something else entirely. It is hope. The human fleet held its position. 200 ships against an entire galaxy. They had crossed the darkness. They had returned from legend. And they had proven in 47 seconds that they were nothing like the monsters their enemies had expected. Now the real challenge would begin. Now they would have to convince the galaxy that peace was still possible. Admiral Taewoo was ready. Humanity had waited 3,000 years. They could wait a little longer. The Council's shuttle approached the human flagship slowly. Inside, Eldarova sat rigid with fear. Beside him, the young researcher Lyra pressed her face to the window. Watching the massive ship grow larger, the Remembrance was unlike any vessel they had ever seen. It was sleek and dark, built with curves instead of angles. Strange lights pulsed along its surface like a heartbeat. It looked alive. This is madness, Eldarova whispered. We should not be here. Lyra did not answer. She was too fascinated, too curious. For 3,000 years, humans had been nothing but myths. Now she was about to walk among them. The shuttle docked. The doors opened. A human woman waited to greet them. She had kind eyes and gray-streaked hair. She smiled warmly and bowed her head in a gesture of respect. Welcome aboard the Remembrance. I am Dr. Yuna, ship's historian and cultural liaison. Admiral Taewoo has asked me to guide you during your visit. Eldarova stepped forward stiffly. I am Eldarova, senior representative of the Galactic Council. This is researcher Lyra. Dr. Yuna smiled at the young Valoran. A researcher. Wonderful. I think you will find much here to interest you. They walked through the ship's corridors. Everything was clean and bright. Crew members passed by, nodding politely at the alien visitors. They were so calm, so normal. They looked like any other species. 2 arms, 2 legs, soft skin, small eyes. Nothing about them seemed dangerous, but Lyra remembered the 47-second battle. She remembered how easily these soft creatures had disabled 3,000 warships. Appearances could be deceiving. They reached a large room. The lights dimmed as they entered. Dr. Yuna touched a panel on the wall. "This is our memorial hall," she said quietly. "This is where we keep the memory of Earth." Light filled the air. Holographic images appeared around them. Cities with tall buildings, green forests stretching to the horizon, blue oceans sparkling under a yellow sun, children playing in parks, people walking through streets, a world alive with 8 billion souls. Lyra had never seen anything so beautiful. "This was Earth," Dr. Yuna said. "Our homeworld. Our mother." The images changed. Ships appeared in the sky. Council ships from 3,000 years ago. They came without warning. They came without mercy. Fire rained from the heavens. Cities turned to ash. Oceans boiled away. Forests burned until nothing remained but blackened earth. People ran through the streets, screaming, searching for safety that did not exist. Lyra watched in horror. Tears formed in her large eyes. The images showed a planet dying, continents cracking apart, clouds of ash covering the sky, and through it all, 8 billion voices falling silent one by one. When the fire finally stopped, nothing remained. Earth was dead, a burned rock floating in space. "Your ancestors did this," Dr. Yuna said. Her voice was not angry. It was simply sad. "They came to our world while we were still young. They saw what we might become, and they were afraid. So they killed us. All of us. Or so they believed." Lerova had fallen to his knees. His silver face was wet with tears. He had not known he could cry. "I did not know," he whispered. "The records said. They said it was a mercy. They said humans were a plague, a disease that had to be stopped." "We were children," Dr. Yuna replied. "We had barely left our own world. We had not threatened anyone. We had not attacked anyone. We simply existed. And for that crime, 8 billion people died." Lyra found her voice. "How did you survive?" "Colony ships." The images changed again. Small vessels fleeing into the darkness beyond the galaxy's edge. Thousands of people packed into metal shells, running for their lives. We had just begun to settle other worlds. When the attack came, some of our people were not on Earth. They saw what happened. They ran. The hologram showed the long journey. Ships traveling through empty space for years. Finding a distant planet beyond the rim. Building new cities. New lives. New hope. "We spent 3,000 years rebuilding," Dr. Yuna continued. "Learning. Growing. Asking ourselves one question over and over again." "What question?" Lyra asked. A door opened behind them. Admiral Tae-woo entered the room. He was taller than Lyra expected. His face was lined with age, but his eyes were sharp and clear. "The question was simple," he said. "When we returned, would we become what you feared? Would we arrive with fire and rage? Would we burn your worlds as you burned ours?" He paused. "Or would we choose a different path?" Elder Rova looked up at the human admiral. "You could have killed us all. You could have destroyed the Keth fleet. You could take revenge on every world in the Council." "Yes. Why do you not?" Admiral Tae-woo walked slowly around the room. The holographic images of Earth still floated in the air. Ghosts of a dead world. "Because revenge would not bring them back," he said quietly. 8 billion people. My ancestors. My family. They are gone forever. Destroying your worlds would not restore a single life. It would only add more death to the universe. He turned to face the elder. "We did not survive extinction to become monsters. We survived to prove that mercy is possible, even after everything you did to us." Lyra stepped forward. "What do you want from us?" The Admiral's eyes met hers. "We want answers. We want to know why. We want to look into the eyes of those who ordered our death and understand what fear drove them to genocide. He paused. And then we want to move forward. Together. As equals. Eldarova struggled to his feet. You would forgive us? Forgiveness takes time, Tewu admitted. But we are willing to try. The question is whether you are willing to try as well. The memorial hall fell silent. The ghosts of Earth watched from the holographic display. 8 billion souls, waiting to see if their deaths would lead to more death, or if something better might finally grow from the ashes. Lyra looked at the Admiral, at Dr. Yuna, at the calm, patient faces of the humans who had every right to hate her people but chose not to. I am willing, she said softly. I want to try. Darova nodded slowly. Then perhaps there is hope after all. Admiral Tewu allowed himself a small smile. There is always hope. That is the most human lesson of all. The council chamber was in chaos. 12 species shouted at each other while guards tried to keep order. The holographic evidence from the human ship played on every screen. The truth about Earth. The genocide their ancestors had committed. Eldarova stood before them, his silver skin pale with shame. He had shown them everything. The memorial hall. The records. The 8 billion dead. We must make peace, he declared. We must acknowledge what was done and find a way forward. The Valoran ambassador nodded. The Drem bubbled their agreement. The Morak rumbled that justice demanded reconciliation, but not everyone agreed. War leader. Kethra slammed his armored fist on his seat. He was the supreme commander of the Keth military, and he was furious. His mandibles clicked together with rage. Peace, he snarled. You saw what they did to General Vorn's fleet. 3,000 ships disabled in seconds. And you want to make peace with these monsters? They chose not to destroy us, Lyra argued. They showed mercy. Mercy. Kethra laughed bitterly. That was not mercy. That was a demonstration. They wanted us to see their power. They wanted us to be afraid, stood and faced the council. Our ancestors were right to attack them. Look how dangerous they have become. Imagine what they will do in another 1,000 years. The ambassador from the Vrel, a species of tall, thin creatures with 4 arms, nodded. The war leader speaks truth. These humans are too powerful. If we do not act now, they will dominate the galaxy. More voices joined them. The fear spread through the chamber like poison. Half the council wanted peace. Half wanted war. The fracture had begun. That night, war leader Kethra met in secret with 5 other species. They gathered in a dark room far from the council chamber. No records were kept. No witnesses were allowed. The humans are few, Kethra said. Only 200 ships. We have thousands. Tens of thousands. If we strike now, together, we can overwhelm them before they bring more forces. Their technology is superior, the Vrel commander noted. You saw what happened to General Vorn? One battle. One surprise. They caught us unprepared. Kethra's eyes gleamed with certainty. This time, we will attack with everything we have. 5,000 ships. Maybe more. No force can withstand such numbers. The others exchanged looks. Fear and desperation made them willing to listen. When? Asked the Morak general, a being of living stone who had broken from his own people to join the coalition. Days. We gather our fleets in secret. We strike without warning. We end this threat forever. The agreement was made. The coalition was formed, and the galaxy moved one step closer to war. Aboard the Remembrance, Lieutenant Sung detected strange patterns in council communications. Encrypted messages. Hidden fleet movements. Ships gathering in unusual formations. He brought his findings to Captain Hannah immediately. They are planning an attack, Sung reported. 5,000 ships. Maybe more. They will strike within 3 days. Hannah studied the data. Her face was grim. The Keith and their allies. They did not accept our message of peace. What do we do? Hannah thought for a moment. We warn the other council species, the ones who want peace. The attackers will target them as well. They left their homeworlds undefended when they sent their fleets against us. Anna understood. The coalition would attack the human fleet first. But they might also attack the Valorans and Drem, who supported peace. They would destroy anyone who stood with humanity. She went to Admiral Tae-Wu. The admiral listened to everything, without interruption. When Hannah finished, he sat in silence for a long moment. 5,000 ships, he said finally. Yes, sir. Against our 200 and the peace faction, the Valorans, the Drem, the others, undefended. Their fleets are small. If the coalition attacks them, they will be destroyed. Tae-Wu closed his eyes because they chose to stand with us. Hannah waited. She knew the admiral was weighing options no commander should have to consider. We could run, she said quietly. Retreat beyond the rim. The coalition would never find us, and leave our allies to die. Leave the species who believed in peace to face the consequences alone. Tae-Wu shook his head. No, we will not abandon them. Then we fight. We defend. The admiral stood and walked to the observation window. Stars stretched endlessly before him. We place our fleet between the coalition and their targets. We protect the homeworlds of those who chose peace. Hannah frowned. Sir, that means we will be defending the species who killed our ancestors. We will be protecting the people who destroyed Earth. I know. Why? Admiral Tae-Wu turned to face her. There was something in his eyes. Something that looked like peace. Because 3,000 years ago, our ancestors needed someone to protect them. No one came. No one stood between them and destruction. He paused. We will not let that happen again. Not even to those who wronged us. We will be the protectors our people never had. Hannah stared at her commander. She had served with him for 20 years. She had followed him across the void between galaxies. But in this moment, she understood him better than ever before. You want to prove that humanity deserves to exist, she said. I want to prove that mercy deserves to exist. That compassion is not weakness. That the strong can protect the weak, even when the weak once harmed them. He smiled sadly. History will judge us by what we do next. Let us make sure our descendants are proud. Hannah straightened and saluted. Orders, Admiral? Move the fleet to defensive position. Arrange our ships in a line between the coalition approach vector and the council homeworlds. When the attack comes, we hold. We do not fire first. We do not seek to destroy. And if they overwhelm us, then we die protecting others. As guardians should, the fleet moved. 200 ships formed a single line across empty space. Behind them lay the homeworlds of the Valorans, the Drem, and every species who had chosen peace over fear. The humans did not hide. They did not run. They stood between hatred and hope, waiting for the storm to come. In 3 days, the battle would begin, and the galaxy would learn what humanity truly was. The coalition fleet emerged from hyperspace like a swarm of angry insects. 5,000 warships, the largest military force assembled in 1,000 years. They had come to end the human threat forever. War leader Kethra stood on his flagship's bridge, his mandibles clicking with satisfaction. This time, there would be no surrender, no mercy. Only fire and death. Then he saw the human fleet. 200 ships hung in space, arranged in a perfect line. They were not positioned to defend themselves. They were positioned to block access to the council homeworlds behind them. Kethra's satisfaction turned to confusion. What are they doing? Those worlds belong to our enemies within the council. The Valorans. The Drem. Why would humans defend them? His second-in-command had no answer. Aboard the Remembrance, Admiral Tae-Wu watched the enemy fleet approach. His crew was ready. Every officer stood at their station. Every ship in the fleet knew their role. The coalition is hailing us, Lieutenant Sung reported. Except. War leader Kethra appeared on screen. His rage was barely contained. Do you stand between us and our targets? Move aside. No. Kethra leaned forward. You would die to protect the species who killed your world. The species who murdered 8 billion of your kind. Admiral Tae-Wu's voice was steady. We would die to prove that protection matters more than revenge. We would die to show that the strong can choose to shield the weak. We would die to be what our ancestors needed and never received. Then you will die as fools." The transmission ended. The coalition attacked. 5,000 ships opened fire at once. The space around the human fleet filled with energy beams, missiles, and plasma bursts. It was enough firepower to crack a moon. The human shields held. Blue light surrounded every ship, absorbing impacts, deflecting beams, stopping missiles mid-flight. The technology was centuries beyond anything the Council had ever seen, but 200 ships could not hold forever against 5,000. Shields at 80%, an officer reported. 75. 70. Commander Jin led the fighter squadrons into battle. Her small craft danced between enemy ships like leaves in a storm. She was the best pilot humanity had ever produced, and she flew as if gravity and physics were suggestions rather than laws. "Target their weapons arrays," she ordered her squadron. "Disable, do not destroy. Leave their life support intact." Her pilots obeyed. Enemy ships went dark one by one. Weapons disabled, crews alive but helpless. But there were too many enemies. For every ship disabled, 3 more took its place. On the Remembrance, Chief Engineer Day worked through fire and sparks. A direct hit had damaged the main power conduit. Smoke filled the engine room. Alarms screamed warnings that he ignored. "I need more power to the shields," Captain Hannah called through the com. "I know," Day answered through gritted teeth. He rewired systems with burned hands, connecting backups that should have been impossible to reach. 30 seconds. Give me 30 seconds. He made it work. He always made it work. The battle raged for 9 hours. 200 ships against 5,000. The humans took hits. They lost vessels. But they never broke formation. They never retreated. They never stopped protecting the worlds behind them. Chief Medic Sue moved through the corridors of the flagship, treating wounded crew members wherever she found them. Blood covered her uniform. Exhaustion blurred her vision. But she kept working. A Valoran diplomat grabbed her arm as she passed. Elder Rova and researcher Lyra had refused to evacuate when the battle began. Now they helped where they could, carrying supplies and comforting the injured. "Why do you not run?" Elder Rova asked. Tears streamed down his silver face. "We do not deserve this sacrifice." Sue paused long enough to meet his eyes. "Maybe not, but we choose to give it anyway. That is who we are." She moved on to the next patient. On the bridge, Admiral Tae-woo watched 23 human ships die. They had been too damaged to fight. Rather than risk collision with inhabited worlds, their crews had steered into empty space. They had sacrificed themselves to protect strangers. "Admiral," Captain Hannah said quietly, "we cannot hold much longer." Tae-woo nodded. He opened a channel to all ships. "This is the Admiral. You have fought bravely. You have shown the galaxy what humanity means. I am proud to serve with every one of you." He paused. "Now we finish this. All ships, prepare for final defense protocol." The remaining human ships surged forward, not to attack, to absorb. They moved between the coalition weapons and the homeworlds, taking every hit themselves. The coalition ships hesitated. They had never seen anything like this. Enemies were supposed to fight back. Enemies were supposed to retreat. These humans did neither. They simply protected. War Leader Kethra watched in disbelief. Why won't they break? Why won't they run? He received no answer. But slowly, something changed in his heart. Something he had never expected to feel. Doubt the battle ended at hour 9. The coalition fleet was scattered and disabled, just like General Vorn's fleet before. Human technology had proven superior once again. But the victory had cost much. 23 human ships destroyed. Thousands of crew members dead. The survivors were battered, exhausted, and bleeding. Admiral Tae-woo broadcast a final message to every ship in space, human and alien alike. "We are the humans of Earth. We have lost our homeworld, but we have not lost ourselves. We return to this galaxy seeking answers, and we found them in our own actions. We are not monsters. We are not conquerors. We are protectors, and we will defend this galaxy even from itself. He looked at the scattered coalition ships, at the homeworld safe behind his fleet, at the stars that stretched endlessly in all directions. Earth is gone, but its legacy survives in us. In mercy, in sacrifice, in hope. 1 year later, humanity held a seat on the Galactic Council. Eldorova, transformed by what he had witnessed, became the first alien ambassador to the human colony worlds. Researcher Lyra stood on the bridge of a new ship. It was crewed by both humans and aliens. The first joint expedition into unknown space. Dr. Eunice smiled beside her. 3,000 years of hiding. Sometimes I wondered if we had forgotten who we were. Who are we? Lyra asked. Captain Hannah answered from the command chair. Her voice was proud but gentle. We are the species that survived extinction. We crossed the void and chose mercy over vengeance. We protected those who wronged us and proved that compassion is the greatest strength. She activated the engines. The stars began to move. We are human, and we are just getting started. The ship jumped into hyperspace. Ahead lay unknown wonders, unknown challenges, unknown possibilities. Behind them, the galaxy had changed forever. The legend of humans was no longer a warning. It had become a promise that hope could survive anything, even the end of the world.